say. Now, to the second point. Russia, as you probably know, is not the biggest polluter as far as emissions are concerned. United Nations statistics can be different, but they cite different places, but the first place is reserved for the United States and China. They emit about 60% of the overall emissions. EU accounts for 11, Russia accounts for 6, and India for 5% of global emissions. Now, as you know, the Paris Climate Deal mandates us to prevent the growth of global temperature by 1.5 degrees. Whether we will be accomplish this goal or not, I don't know. Nobody knows the global reasons for global climate change. All we know is that during the history of Earth there were periods of global cooling and global warming, and it can hinge upon a variety of reasons. A small inclination of axis of rotation of Earth, a small change, a slight change of its orbit around the Sun, all of them can be an impact, all of them can be an influence, and all of it can cause the climate change. Now, there were dramatic changes of temperature in the history of our planet. So, as we are pondering this, let me posit it this way. As we try to calculate the impact of climate change is really difficult, and yet we cannot stand still. We cannot do nothing about it. So I agree that the question is indeed of urgent importance, and we need to do everything possible to prevent this drastic change of temperatures. Now, to what Russia does about it. The temperature growth pace is 2.5 times higher than the global level. As you are well aware, ours is a northern country. 70% of our country is beyond the northern latitude. We have major cities standing on permafrost, major cities on beyond in the Arctic Circle. Imagine what happens if permafrost starts to melt. Now, some cities may encounter growing temperatures, be it Moscow. I think Moscow hit the record high temperatures for December, but it also can cause desertification of many territories. And this is a direct ramification for us. The climate change also is manifested in the growing frequency of natural disasters, and this is a direct implication for us as well. That is to say, we have been fighting climate change, we are fighting it now, and we will spare no effort to minimize the efforts from these changes. And let's go on now to the left flank regions. It's been 15 years since Kamchatka has not asked a question. Now to Kamchatka, please. Mr. President, colleagues, Mr. Peskov. It's true. We've been kept silent for 10 years. It's well known. We can only reach the continent if we fly from Kamchatka on an aircraft. Yes, there was a flat rate tariff scale introduced and subsidies for students, retired citizens, and children, families with a lot of children, but the subsidies do not cover the 100% of the population. Now we are hearing debates that the subsidies can be cancelled at all. So we will be locked, in fact, locked in our region. It's also it's been a long time since you visited Kamchatka. Is it because the tickets are so expensive? No, it's not the case. It has, in fact, nothing to do with the cost of tickets. Know why? Because I have a discount as one of the members of those categories entitled for the subsidy. But it's not the case. Speaking seriously now, it's been a while since I visited Kamchatka, and there are many issues. Thing is, my trips, local trips, are not official visits. Official visits is when I visit a foreign country. A working visit is when I visit the regions of Russia. But rest assured, Kamchatka has never been forgotten. We know that it's a crucially important region in the socio-economic and the military level. As you know, one of the naval bases is stationed there, naval base for our submarines. That is to say, we have been and we will pay attention to Kamchatka's needs. Now, to the flat rate needs, a flat rate scale that Aeroflot introduced, it's been just speculations. That's what they do to get more subsidies from the government, trying to push us to get a little more money. We will continue this work. We will keep the subsidies. But what we need to achieve in the long run is to make the income of our citizens to grow. But we will cover it time and again. The incomes of Russian citizens have been growing far too slow. But simultaneously with this, we will need to push down the commuting costs, including the ticket costs. So far as the global changes are yet to materialize, we will keep the ticket subsidies. Make no mistake. We've discussed this with the Aeroflot leadership and the Vice Minister in Transport. To the mic, please. Well, we'll get to the issue of garbage, of St. Petersburg, etc. Well, let's do this. Let's do it this way. As an exception, I'll take your question, but please do not do this again. Otherwise, we'll quickly reduce to some sort of an Oriental marketplace. All right, get the mic and ask the question. Viktor Smirnov. We are covering news of Leningrad area, and as you are well aware, here's what's going on. The garbage reform, the so-called garbage reform, was launched in earnest in all Russia. It has been postponed to 2022. For many regions got this delay. In Leningrad Oblast, Leningrad region, the reform has already started. What we're seeing is that all the garbage from the St. Petersburg, the city, the metropolitan city, is taken out to the region, to the county. And in fact, we see that the logistics suffer from these huge cargo flows. And then a reasonable question arises. While landfills and dump sites are created under my window, in my backyard, how come it's not regulated? Can we push Leningrad authorities a little more? The question is not about just introducing more regulations. It's about the need to create more dialogue. We need a mechanism for getting the requests and petitions from the citizens. Can you reformulate? Let me just finish the question. Can we ask for a 10-minute interview before you leave the building? Well, that cannot be organized, but give me some more time to finish the question. Time after the press conference. Be it this year or the next year, the time after press conference is something that we can allocate for the interview. Now, let me get back to the issue of garbage. We are generating 70 million tons of household wastes annually, on a yearly basis. And the garbage treatment and garbage processing industry is something that has never existed in the Soviet Union or in the new Russia. We are creating it from the scratch. Now, let me get this right. Major landmark decisions have been made. The regulatory framework is something that we start from the get-go. We create the network.
All right, just giving you the live media conference of Russian President Vladimir Putin as he addresses foreign media, currently touching on the topic of climate change and emissions. We're going to take a short break here on the agenda.